not in your vocabulary? Are you willing to outwork everyone in your next contest but need the right guidance? Drop those bad contest prep strategies and let New York Muscle Radio guide you on your journey to the stage. Whether it's your first show or you're going for that pro card, get a leg up on the competition with individual customized contest prep strategies. Visit NewYorkMuscleRadio.com and click on that coaching tab to get started.
New York's very own muscle building coaches, Anthony Bevilacqua and Pete Kacharian, proudly present to you New York Muscle Radio.
What's up, guys? New York Muscle Radio, episode number 96. It's your host, Anthony Bevilacqua, along with my co-host, Big Pete Kacharian, and today we got an awesome jam-packed podcast for you guys, and today's topic is how to make 6 figures as a personal trainer. So it doesn't necessarily mean a personal trainer in the gym. It could be an online trainer. I guess it should be how to make 6 figures in the fitness industry. That's probably would have been a better title, right, Big Pete?
Jam-packed episode, man, and I heard you kicking me out on this one.
Yeah, I gave you the boot, and I actually recorded this one by myself. I played with myself today.
Well, we know you play with yourself all day. That's not news.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're self-employed.
That's a good point, man. I think that that's definitely a truth for a lot of people who are self-employed. They sit at home and they play with themselves all day.
What's going on, man? So, yeah, what happened today? Couldn't make it? Too busy?
Yeah, well, 99% of the population operates on one time frequency, and you're like on the other 1%. So, unfortunately, it didn't work out today.
I know. It's just so funny how I have such a different schedule than everybody.
It's good, though. I kind of like that schedule. I wish I had that schedule. I don't like being on the same, time frame with everybody else, because that's when you got to deal with, rush hour traffic. You got to deal with, rush hour at the gym, all that stuff. I work out around 7 o'clock now lately, and anytime after 5, man, I just dread going to the gym. If it was empty, I would love it, but, when you got to deal with people at peak hours, it sucks.
Yeah, that sucks. You got all those guys walking around in their squat shoes and this and that, and they barely squat.
You know what's a funny situation too. You know how Monday you could never get on a bench. And yesterday I needed to get on a bench. It was Monday, but I wasn't training. I'm sorry, was it Tuesday? Regardless of what day it was. Yesterday was technically like a Monday because of Memorial Day weekend. So everybody was probably rolled over their Monday to Tuesday. Everybody in the gym was training chest. They couldn't get on one bench. It took me like 10 minutes just to wait for one bench. I wasn't training chest though. I was training arms and I needed to do some close grip bench. So that was yesterday. It took me 15 minutes.
Curls.
No. It took me 15 minutes just to get a bench. Now, today I'm actually I was training chest. I walk in the gym, every single bench, there's like 8 benches in my gym. Every single bench is empty.
Yeah, of course.
So, it's funny because people would normally train it or skip a day so that the benches are empty, but I just use the bench 2 days in a row because that's how you have me train.
Because we're animals, man. We don't train like normal people. Like I say, there's 2 types of people in this world. There's sheep and then there's lions. Sheep just follow the road and just do whatever's told, and the lions actually are the ones who make the road and make the rules. So if you're a lion, you break all the rules, my friend. Like Arnold said, you have to break some rules.
Yeah, and I mean it's the routine we're doing right now is working out pretty well, I have to say, because my close grip bench press is actually like it's so close to my normal grip in terms of weight. I'm like 20 pounds off of it now.
Well, your close grip is also very close to where you normally bench anyway.
No, I keep actually at least a full hand's length in for close grip from what my normal grip is. So I would consider that. Normally, if you're going to take someone from their wide grip or their normal grip bench press and then have them do close grip, you would move them in at least a hand's length, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I go in a hand's length and a little bit more. So my close grip's actually very close.
I like to be right on the knurl. That's how you say it?
Yeah. I put one finger on the inside of it. So.
Well, you like to bench closer to me too. Then I'm a wide bencher.
Yeah, you bench very wide, very very wide.
Funny thing is, if I put my arms in closer, I just don't feel as strong, which is odd because usually I like my squat stance to be a little closer, my deadlift stance is a little closer, and I feel stronger in that closer position. But with bench, I have to be out. It doesn't make any sense.
For me, on everything, whether it's pressing, whether it's pulling, I like that close grip. You know, it's I always press with a close grip on dumbbells. I probably press even closer on all my pull downs, rows, pull ups. I do a very, very close grip, and for me, it works. You know, everybody's structure is different.
All right, man. Let's tell the listeners again about the 100th episode. So we're super excited. We're almost there. This is 96. We're 4 away, and for our 100th episode, it's going to be crazy. We're going to have a live call-in part of it. So if you can't make the time of the live call, you can call at any time starting from right now and leave a voicemail, and your voicemail will get played on the podcast. So any questions or comments, or you just want to shoot the shit with us, give us a call. The number is 508, that's the area code, 687-2534, or 508-MUSCLE-4. Again, the recording time for our 100th episode is going to be June 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So mark that in your calendars, save the date, and we're going to be going live on Facebook as well. So make sure you friend me on Facebook, Anthony Bevilacqua. So, yeah, 100's fucking coming, man. Quick.
Yeah, and if you guys want to know what Anthony's doing in the middle of the night, make sure you dial 508-MUSCLE-4.
Yeah, the number's linked to my phone, so don't be calling me in the middle of the night because I'm not going to pick up anyway. It's funny because if it rings and I do pick it up, it just says, what did it ask you? When you called in, it asked you to say your name?
Yeah, so it'll call when you call in, it'll ask you, I believe, for your name so that it could tell you who it is, and then if it goes to voicemail, it'll ask you what your message is.
Yeah, so basically if it's a number, your number will come up, I'll see it, and then I'll answer it, and it'll say, do you want to accept a call from, Jim? And I just say no, and it goes right to voicemail. Or I could say yes and pick up. So if you guys catch me on a good time, maybe I'll pick up, and you get to speak live to me at any time during the day.
Well, he'll be around because he's not going to be at work, Mr. Unemployed.
Yep, but the Mr. Unemployed is going to show you guys how to make 6 figures plus in this episode.
And that's, I think, a good point because Mr. Employed might not be able to show you how to make 6 figures being a personal trainer.
Yeah, that's the truth. And again, like when I say personal trainer, I mean, I just encompass everything that's fitness related into being a personal trainer. Any type of online training, whether you work for a gym or not, this episode is going to apply for you. So, but muscle in a minute time, baby.
Let's do it.
3, 2, and go.
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
It's Monday, June 6, 2016, and on today's show, Eric Helms' new PubMed study titled RPE and Velocity Relationships for the Back Squat, Bench Press, and Deadlift in Powerlifters. The purpose of the study was to compare average concentric velocity, ACV, and rating of perceived exertion, RPE, based on repetitions in the reserve on the squat, bench press, and deadlift. The study concluded that RPE may be a useful tool for prescribing intensity for the squat, bench press, and deadlift in powerlifters, in addition to traditional methods such as percentage of 1 rep maximum. Looks like some of Mike Tuchera's work is making more mainstream acceptance outside of just the powerlifting world.
All right, Eric Helms. He's finally doing something down there in New Zealand. He's getting his studies published.
Is he still, what is he going to school for right now? He's trying to get his, is he getting his PhD right now, or did he get it already?
He's going to school for culinary.
Culinary?
Yeah, culinary. I think he wants to be like a chef or something.
He's going to be on Hell's Kitchen?
So basically, from what I got the gist of this, I read the paper. Basically, the bottom line was the RPE is just as important as percentages. But I got to be honest, man, I don't like RPE. I just don't like it.
I do. I do, actually. I think that RPE plays a big role in taking you from intermediate to advanced. I think that concept is something that you need to apply in your training because I know for me, the biggest thing that prevented me from getting past that intermediate stage in strength was training too hard, too heavy, too intensely. And if you're not going to calculate all your percentages, which a lot of bodybuilders aren't going to want to do, I think just applying an RPE to that is going to be helpful because that'll keep you training with sub-maximal weights. Because if you get to the point where you could bench press 300 pounds, but you can't get past it, and you're constantly pushing 300 pounds in the gym over and over again, you're going to stall out. And I think if you're not going to be one of those type of people that likes to do percentages on everything, if you just apply RPEs to your training, I think it's a much easier way to then, regulate your training, at least for me. But it's not the only way to do it, and obviously for you, it's not necessary at all because you don't do it.
Yeah, for me, it was more like the RPE. The whole RPE thing is just so confusing. I'd rather just follow a percentage. Okay, I have to do this number because, some days, well, let's just say it's 300 pounds, for example. Again, that 300 pounds may be a 9. I don't think I could do one more. And then you watch a video and you're like, oh, I could have got 2 more. So I mean, I know it takes time to get acclimated to it, but at the same time, I don't know. I'd rather it's easier for me to plug in a percentage and just go from there. I guess if you're not so sure on your numbers, maybe the RPE will work better, but I'm pretty consistent with my numbers, so it just makes sense. And I'm the type of person, if it's on my paper, I got to do it, so.
Right. I mean, there's all different tools to get the job done.
Yep. But, I got a lot of people making a big deal about the whole RPE thing, or percentages. Whatever you're comfortable with, I guess,
That's the thing. I mean, different things work for different people, not just physically, but just the way that they, are mentally. Certain people will, that will resonate with better. Other people, because some people like myself, I had trouble for a long time not training 100% all the time. And I'm sure you struggle with this too at some point, just always trying to do 100%, and then they take some back offs. It's like, well, where do I stop? Okay, well, use an RPE of 8, leave 2 in the tank, so at least you know where to train to. But again, if you have the numbers laid out for you already, which a lot of people don't want to do, bodybuilders are pretty lazy, if you want to do that, then that's a good way to do it. Or if you want to just space it off RPE, which most of the time I like to do. But I've been using a mix of both lately, and they've definitely both been working. So
I've been doing your training. How have you been using a mix of both?
Well, I'm doing the training, so I'm actually utilizing a mix of both. I'm not saying I'm writing out a program.
So you're just basically saying, all right, this was heavy as hell today. This is a 9.
No, well, I'm saying you give me certain exercises where you say, okay, do it to an 8 RPE, and then other exercises are percentage based. So in my training,
I'm thinking of the main lifts. My bad.
Yeah, no. I'm saying my training incorporates both.
Yes, it does.
So, and like I said, I think I'm getting stronger, and I've definitely noticeably put on a little bit of size. So,
oh, you'll admit it finally.
Yeah, I admitted it. I told you.
Yeah, right. All right, let's move on to the shout-outs portion. So again, guys, if you want a shout-out on New York Muscle Radio, you could either hit us up on Facebook. That's facebook.com/New York Muscle Radio. You could hit us up on Instagram. I'm at AB Fitness, and Pete's at Jacked Fitness, JAKKED Fitness. You can leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Only a 5-star review will get read. If you leave us anything less than that, you will be banned from listening to New York Muscle Radio. So 5-star review will count. You could even send us an email or hit me up on Snapchat at ABFitness87, and we'll shout you out on the podcast. So let's get this thing rolling here. Shout out to Tim Christ, Joey Bings. What a name, man, that Joey Bings.
Joey Bings. What does Bings mean?
And bingo was his name. Well, I have no idea. Bings.
Maybe it was. Maybe he's really good at bingo.
It could be. Kevin Robertson, Jason Mowat, and I believe you have the last shout out, buddy.
Oh yes, that's correct. Yeah, so actually, I wanna give a special shout out to this one because this one actually made me laugh. So if anybody doesn't remember, a couple podcasts back, we were talking about our client Chumley, who is about to hit the stage this weekend.
93.
Yeah, and I was saying that he's at that point in his prep where the anxiety starts to kick in, and I said, he's probably having those dreams that everybody has, that I've had multiple times. I know you haven't, but I'm sure a lot of people listening who are competitors have had it. And, basically you'll have those dreams where you have anxiety of show day, and you'll show up just not prepared. Maybe you showing up and you didn't shave, or you'll just show up and hadn't even dieted. So, I've had that multiple times. So one of our listeners actually remembered that and saw a video on Facebook. It's I think it's an Asian kid or an Indian kid or something like this. It's hard to tell from the video. It's in some country, and he's posing on stage and he's a blubber little kid on stage. It's actually pretty funny. But Richard Smith, I want to give a shout out to Richard Smith. He remembered that comment about the dream, and he says, hey, Anthony Bevilacqua and Pete Kacharian, it's your dream that you were scared of. Day of competition and you forgot to diet. So shout out to Richard Smith for that one.
Yeah, and if you guys want to actually see that video, you could join our Facebook group. Just search for New York Muscle Radio on Facebook, and the group will come up, and I will accept you. And you could see it. We posted a couple things in there, so you guys could check that out as well. So again, if you guys want to shout out, do any one of those things, and we'll shout you out on the podcast. I didn't actually watch the video. I got to be honest.
It's actually a really funny video. You should watch it. It made me laugh.
I've seen other ones like it, so I kind of know what it is, but I didn't get a chance to click it yet. So I'll be honest.
It looks like he's actually at some type of bodybuilding competition, though. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. But he's not like one of those guys that's just like a little bit out of shape. Like it's a kid who's like never touched a weight before in his life. So I don't know what he was doing on there. But I love our listeners, man. They all have personalities just like us. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to the listener question of the day. So again, guys, if you have a question and you want us to answer it, you could submit it on our website, newyorkmuscleradio.com/listener question. So this question was submitted by Tim Christ, and his question was, what are your thoughts on MCT oil? So you want to explain what it is first?
Well, MCT oil basically more or less is, I don't want to get into the science behind it and make it sound like more than what it is, because anybody who knows what we talk about and what we follow as far as nutritional advice knows that, there's not going to be any type of magical food out there. So right away, I want you to get that out of your head. A lot of people will try and preach that, MCT oil's, a superior oil to something like olive oil or whatever. But basically, the reason MCT oil seems to be getting a lot of praise in the bodybuilding industry is because it doesn't get digested as a fatty acid the same way other oils will, and I believe the digestion process is maybe even slower. So they will tell you that the energy release is a little bit better on something like MCT oil than an olive oil. So just my opinion right off the bat, and you're probably going to assume this just by the way I'm describing it, is that it's no better than any other food out there. It's no better than any other fat source out there. Again, that none of this stuff is even going to matter if your protein, carbs, and fat requirements aren't met. So if you don't have that down, first of all, then this absolutely doesn't make a difference. And second of all, you really need to focus on energy balance throughout the whole day rather than one fat source for a meal. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Bottom line is if your calories are in check, you're going to see results no matter what you're trying to do, gain or lose. I think MCT oil became famous through Dave Palumbo with his, low-carb diet, his high-fat diet, his keto diet. And these guys were using MCT oil as almost like a pre-workout that kind of like coconut oil. It's supposed to give you more energy and whatnot. I've used coconut oil, and I haven't noticed any more or less energy. It was kind of the same thing. So I would say save your money. Either one, go on New York Muscle Radio and purchase Cracking the Flexible Dieting ebook, and you could learn all about how many calories you need, and what you need to do every day to get to your results, or invest that money in a good whey protein. So that's what I would recommend for you, buddy. So shout out to you, Tim Chris. Thank you so much for the question. That was good, man. I mean, we really didn't care for it, though. It's kind of like a negative review of a question.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we answered his question. Maybe he was wondering, is this beneficial or is it just a waste of money? So if we could help him not just spend money on something that's not going to help him reach his goals, then I think we accomplished that.
Yeah,
but if for some reason you like MCT oil and you want to use it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying don't buy it, but I'm not going to tell you go to the store, get MCT oil. It's going to be a better source of fat, Yeah,
you're going to get more ripped and bigger.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah. You're not going to have a crazy workout because it was fueled by MCT oil.
Today's workout was brought to you by MCT oil. All right, guys, we're going to take a short commercial break, and I'll be right back with today's special guest, Anthony Bevilacqua.
What's up, New York Muscle Radio listeners? It's your co-host, Big Pete Kacharian, and I'm glad you're all listening. Put down that tilapia and asparagus. Learn how to get bigger, stronger, and leaner eating what you want. Pick up a copy of Cracking the Flexible Dieting Code exclusively at NewYorkMuscleRadio.com. But for now, let's get to the show.
Are you a fan of New York Muscle Radio's artwork? Do you want a custom logo design for your personal or professional needs? Then make sure to check out our graphic designer, Mel Ferretto, who not only is an awesome graphic artist, but a pro in advertising, web design, typography, and campaigns. His work resume includes interactive design for the WWE and a graphic designer for Optimal Sports Health Club. Make sure to check out our good friend Mel at Mel, M-E-L, Ferretto, F-I-R-E-T-T-O.com. That's melferretto.com. And again, Mel is New York Muscle Radio approved. What's up, guys? And we're back. New York Muscle Radio, episode number 96. It's your host, Anthony Bevilacqua. And today, on today's podcast, we're going to talk about how to make six figures as a personal trainer. I have no guest for this one, so I'm going to do this solo. I'm going to be playing with myself today. But I have a lot of experience as a personal trainer. I've been in this industry for a lot of years, and I've made a good living being a personal trainer, and I kind of want to go over the stuff that I learned over time that has helped me make over six figures as a personal trainer. And I guess kind of, I've been doing this 11, 12 years now, and if I could give you guys all my knowledge in one podcast, that's kind of my goal for this. I want you to not make the same mistakes I did, because being a trainer and being in the fitness industry is a great profession, but it can be a real pain in the ass, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So I guess we're going to avoid a lot of the mistakes that I made, and hopefully I can teach you guys how to make well over six figures in the fitness industry, because it is possible. When I first got into this, I remember being so excited with the amount of money that I was going to be making per hour, and I was kind of like blown away. At the time, I was working at a physical therapy office, and I was making around $5.50 an hour. And then I actually eventually got a raise to $7, and then I ended up leaving there around $10. But I started with around $10 an hour, $5 an hour. So, when I first became a trainer, the payout was $30 for an hour. So I was essentially three-timing my hourly rate at that moment in time. Then at the end, like I said, I worked and I made $10 an hour. But essentially, like I said, 3x'd my business. But the problem was with personal training is I would have to solicit my own clients. So here I am, a young kid, 18 years old, just went from making $10 an hour to $30 an hour, but having zero clients. So I learned everything, and I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have someone to teach me. And at the time, it was like 2005, 2006. The internet really wasn't as big for personal trainers as it is now. I mean, you could do a Google search on, personal training and what you need to do, and you'll find 100 different things come up. And, obviously none of that stuff was around. So I kind of had to teach myself, I guess these kind of quote unquote steps that we're going to call them on how to make well over six figures. And I've done well in the fitness industry. I've done it kind of all. I started as a regular trainer working in a gym. I've ran a whole department with a whole crew of trainers under me. I recently moved out and doing private training in a studio. I do online training. I have the podcast. So I'm a writer for Muscle and Fitness. So I'm in this industry. I'm well versed in what goes on. So hopefully, like I said, my steps for today can really help you. So it's going to be a little weird podcast because I'm by myself. I've done a podcast by myself, and that was episode, I believe it was like 4. And that was on work-family balance. That was so long ago. So now I'm in the studio by myself, a little lonely, but we're going to get this podcast done because I want to teach you guys how to make some money. Money. All right, so let's just roll right into this. So step number 1, you want to make sure you have proper certifications, insurance, education, contracts, etc. You want to make sure you have all this stuff lined up before you even start. Now, again, if you're let's just say you're going into the fitness industry and you're not sure what route to kind of go in as far as where you want to work and whatnot. At that point, you just want to make sure that you have your certification and your basic education. You want to make sure, one, you look the part. One of the main pet peeves I've always had, especially when hiring trainers, was when trainers didn't even look like they lifted. I really didn't even care what kind of certification they had. That wasn't really a big issue for me. The main thing was they knew what they were talking about and they actually walked the walk. I mean, it makes no sense for someone to go and hire a personal trainer and the person's out of shape. That wouldn't be a really, it's not that good of a look. if you need a trainer yourself. So you want to make sure you kind of look the part. But aside from that, you want to make sure you know how to lift, you know all the basic exercises, and you have your kind of quote unquote, you quote your I's and, dot your I's? Yeah, you dot your I's and cross your T's. That's pretty much what you want to make sure you have. Your certifications, your insurances, your education, contracts. These are all things that are going to be in the nitty gritty, and I'm going to go over some of them as we go. But you just want to make sure in the beginning, even if you're just starting out in the fitness industry, you want to make sure you at least have a good certification and basic exercise knowledge. Again, you don't want to go into this not knowing how to do a barbell curl. My co-host would be very upset, and no one would have biceps. So you want to make sure that you're really, really focusing on learning for yourself. So practice on yourself before you even get started. So let's say you want to become a trainer. Before you even get started as a trainer, practice on yourself. Give yourself some diet, obviously get your education, give yourself a diet, see if you can get yourself in shape first. Then if you do a good job at that, move on to a family member, a friend. Offer to train people for free in the beginning, just so you can get a feel for it. You're testing yourself. You're making sure that you understand what's going on, how the body works, how to teach someone how to squat, or if you want to go into the online realm, how to make sure that someone's going to actually follow the plan that you're giving them. So you want to make sure you have all your quote-unquote paperwork in check first, and you have your basic core knowledge. Again, like I said, you don't want to become a personal trainer and not know how to, count calories or know what a gram of protein is or know how many ounces of protein equal, 30 grams. So you want to make sure, again, you have that basic knowledge. All right, now step number 2 is going to be identify your target market. You want to know who you want to work with. You want to identify also who you don't want to work with. Now, this is an important step because, as a personal trainer, people think, I'm just going to hire a trainer and they're going to get me results. Now, when you're a trainer, you're always going to be dealing with different types of people. You're going to be dealing with people who are really, really motivated, and you're going to be dealing with people who aren't really motivated. And that can be very, very tough. It can be very tough because you're going to get frustrated with some people. You're going to give people advice. They're not going to follow it. And that's just the nature of the beast. It's just how it works. So you really want to identify your target market and who you really want to work with. So, for me, for argument's sake, I like to work with athletes. I like to work with bodybuilders, competitors. I like to work with powerlifters. And believe it or not, I like to work with women. See, if my co-host was here, I would make a joke about that. But I like to work with women. I honestly feel like that women, as far as in personal training goes, women work a lot harder than men. And you could really push a woman during a session as opposed to a man. I've been doing this for years. And, of course, there's some exceptions to that rule. But that's just what I've noticed. But you want to identify your target market. Do you want to work with moms? Do you want to work with someone who's really overweight and you want to focus on fat loss? Do you want to you basically want to become the go-to person for whatever niche you want to be in. So again, if I wanted to work with someone who wants to build muscle, then I got to become that guy. I mean, let's look at some real world examples. You have Vince Del Monte, who he calls himself the quote unquote skinny guy savior. So basically his target market is skinny guys. And that's what he, quote unquote, specializes in. Does he have other clients outside of that? Yes. And that's the main thing, too, is because you could be targeting one type of person. Let's say I want to work with moms. I want to work with moms who have 2 kids or whatever. That's my market. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm not going to get to train any men. You'll develop a certain style with your training that will attract a certain amount of people to you. But you really want to focus on that target market because whenever you do any type of marketing, whenever you do any type of advertising or talking to people or whatever, you always want to kind of have your target market in mind because that's what's going to help you get more clients in the area you want to come in. Now, if you're not sure who you want to work with that first, eventually that'll you'll kind of get a feel for it once you start working or whatever. But you kind of want to go into this knowing, okay, I want to work with this type of person. I want to work with competitors. If you want to work at a bodybuilder competitor, you got to speak a certain way online, and you have to present yourself a certain amount online. You have to have a certain type of look to yourself in order to get other people. If my main target was women, the stay-at-home mom, we'll use that as an example. If that was my main target market, but then now I'm posting stuff up on Facebook about competitive bodybuilders, I'm not going to attract any stay-at-home moms with that unless the mom has that goal to compete. So you really got to identify who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with, and just everything you do from that point on, you gear toward the person you want to work with. I hope that makes sense. I think it does because, like I said, the riches are in the niches. That's a famous quote. If you could dial in exactly who you want to work with and you learn how to, quote unquote, speak to that person directly with your messages that you put out there in the world, you're going to attract all those type of people to you, and that's what's going to build you a big loyal following. And that's very, very important in personal training because the more people that follow you and like you, and you become that person in that area. So for argument's sake, let's go with the stay-at-home mom example. If you want to work with a stay-at-home mom, and you have one, and you do everything right with her, you get her to like you, she starts talking to her friends about it, and that's going to start building a following. So this is how you kind of build up your business. So that was step number 2. So step number 3 is determine your work location. Now, there's several different ways to become a personal trainer. You could be one online, you could be one in the gym, you could be one privately, but you want to really figure out from the beginning how you want to go about being a trainer. There's pluses and minuses to everything, and I'm going to kind of go over that. So the first one we'll talk about a trainer at a gym. All right, now, basic, way to become a trainer is go into your big box local gym and apply as a personal trainer. That's how I got started. And I definitely recommend a lot of beginners start out in the gym because you're going to get a lot more experience in a shorter amount of time doing that. So I recommend going into a gym and just kind of starting there. Again, everything is going to kind of be a stepping stone, but go into a gym and apply for a job. Now, some of the pros with being at a gym and working as a trainer in the gym, you're going to get a lot of leads. There's a lot of potential to get clients in the gym. So those clients are leads. You can literally, every time you train someone in a gym, you have hundreds of people around you watching you. So that person that you're training becomes almost like a commercial for you. So you have that ability to grab a lot of people, by being in as a trainer. You could go right in the middle of the floor and train someone. And if you're doing a good job, there's going to be someone around you who's going to cling to that. So like I said, the main thing when you go into a gym, apply, become a trainer, and gather up as much leads as possible. Learn and experience. Sit down with as many people as possible. Try to basically hone in on your selling skills because that's going to be one of the most important things. And actually, this should be up more on this list. So I'll throw it in here. I guess this is step number 3 / but you want to understand the art of selling and marketing. Because again, if you figured out your target market and who you want to target, but you can't sell, you're not going to have any clients. You could be the best trainer in the world with all the knowledge. You could be a Lane Norton. But if you can't sell yourself, you're not going to have any clients. So in addition to having the education to train people, having the education about nutrition and whatnot, you have to make sure you know how to sell and market yourself because that's going to be the most important thing. So learn everything about marketing, selling, read anything you can, take courses, selling, and marketing. Very, very, very important. But anyway, back to determining your work location. So again, you could start out at a gym. Pros are there's a lot of leads around you. You're never going to be dry for a lead, meaning that you're never going to have a hard time finding a client because, if a gym is good, it's going to have a lot of active user bases. There's going to be people in and out of the gym. If the gym is 24 hours a day. So you have the potential to make a lot more sales that way. One of the major cons with working at a gym is you're going to make no money. Working as a gym, obviously it's a business, so the gym has to make money too. So you'll make a certain percentage off what you sell, and that's going to depend on the gym. Some trainers make 50% of what they sell. So if you sell a session for $100 an hour, they're going to make 50 and you'll make 50, and other places it's a 70-30. Well, you'll make only 30%. So that's one of the major cons on it. The problem, I guess the upswing on that is you can make up for that con with a lot of volume. So again, but the major con is those clients aren't yours. They're clients of the gym. Yes, the people are coming for you, and yes, they like you, and yes, they renew with you and all that other stuff. But at the bottom of the line, at the end of the day, those clients are not yours. They're the gym's. They were solicited by the gym, they were entered in by the gym, and they're officially gym property. So technically, they're not really your, quote-unquote, your clients. So that's a big con with working at a gym. You know, you're not building a business for yourself. You're building a business inside of someone else's business. Which, if for a part-time trainer, for someone who just wants to kind of go and make, you know, a good little part-time money, that might not be a bad thing. You don't have to have any type of marketing. You don't have to have any type of insurance because usually the gym covers it. You know, you just go in, train your clients, and leave, and you get free gym membership out of it. So again, it's going to depend on your goal. But if you want to make 6 figures as a trainer, you know, being a trainer in the gym is not going to cut it. What I did when I worked in a gym, I started out as a trainer, and I worked my way up to an assistant manager and then overall to a manager, and I ran the department with 15 trainers. How it worked for me is, and how I was able to make, you know, good money doing that was because I was in charge of the whole department, and I was able to collect a certain percentage of the whole department. So if the department did well and hit their quote-unquote quotas, I received a bonus, and I got my pay based on that, as well as my training clients. Now, every gym is different in how they do that. So, again, this is things that are pros and cons with it all. But, yeah, so, again, you could always do that and move up, and that wouldn't be a bad idea, and you make a decent living. But, again, the problem is always going to be you're always going to have someone on your back, whether it's, if you're a trainer, it's going to be your head trainer, or if you're the head trainer, it's going to be the gym owner or the sales manager, whatever, always going to be on top of you for quotas. You got to hit your quota. You got to hit this. You got to make another sale. Do this. You know, so again, it's not really your business. And there's nothing wrong with having quotas. You know, having a quota is good. It keeps you accountable. It forces you to make sure you hit those certain targets. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that sometimes, as a trainer, you can only work a certain amount of hours a day. And if you're in a gym, they're going to push you to work 50, 60 hours a week. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. If your goal is to make over 6 figures, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't want to have a life, then go work for a gym. Trust me on that. They will suck the living life out of you, because even if you do hit your quota, I mean, again, I can't speak for all gyms, but when I did work at a gym, even if you do hit your quota, it doesn't ease up. You have to repeat that next month and the following month after that. So, and you risk actually losing your job when you work for another gym. I mean, that's anywhere. You could, you know, it doesn't matter where you work. You always risk losing a job. But if you're a good trainer somewhere, you never know what the management is thinking. I went through that, so that's why it's a big con for me. But again, like I said, if you're a part-time person, you know, you have a main job, whatever that would be, and you want to become a personal trainer on the side, you know, maybe working at a gym is good, because like I said, when you work at a gym, unlimited amount of leads, unlimited amount of potential to make as much money as you want. Again, but you're always going to have people breathing down your back. The next type of trainer would be a private one-on-one trainer. Now, being a private one-on-one trainer, you could either travel to people's houses, or you could have a house, some type of facility that you have that you bring people to. So basically, you're doing the same thing as a trainer in the gym would do, except you have your own equipment. You know, either you rent a spot, you build out someplace in your house. You know, I know trainers that have full gyms in their basement. I have one in my house. I built out my garage into a huge studio, and that works well for me. Well, again, my goal is always to move up, so I plan on opening up a bigger studio, personal training studio. But again, this is just giving you guys examples. Or you could just, if you don't have any equipment, you could be that personal trainer that travels to people's houses. Nothing wrong with that. Now, there's pros and cons to that as well. The pros of that are you're going to basically be making double or triple the amount of money you're making in a gym. Because, one, you don't have any overhead aside from rent. Obviously, if you have rent, then rent's an overhead. You don't have anyone breathing down your back on quotas to sell, quotas to hit, amount of time you have to work. You could literally, being a private trainer, you could work 3 hours a day if you wanted to, especially if you wanted to do it part-time. So being a private trainer has ups and downs. If you travel to people's houses, you could definitely charge more than a trainer who has a private facility, because you're going to be traveling and you're going to be losing time traveling to people. So you could definitely charge a little more. Problem with traveling to people, if they don't have equipment, you have to be very, very resourceful. And bottom line is, when someone doesn't have equipment and you can't bring a full gym to them, you know, and you know, we're all listening to this podcast, we know the only thing that really builds muscle is big compound movements. It doesn't matter what your goal is. So you have to be able to do those big compound movements. If you're limited to that, if I have a woman who wants to really get in shape, there's only so much work I could do without weights. You're going to be kind of limited as far as that goes. You could definitely work with the person more nutritionally in that sense and still get them results. But if they really want to get in tip-top shape, it's always more important to work out with big, heavy compound movements. But again, you're going to be limited when you're doing that. But like I said, a lot of the pros to that are you're going to be making triple the amount of money. You're going to be working a lot less. But a con is you're not going to have access to as many leads. Again, when you work at a gym and you're training people, quote unquote, on the floor, that's a commercial for you. Basically, people are going to be watching you all the time doing that. And you're going to get a lot of clients based on that. When you're a private one-on-one personal trainer, whether you're in your own facility or whether you go to people's houses, you're limited to that. You're not going to have people be able to watch you. So you're going to have to be referring a lot on advertising and marketing in order to grab clients as a private trainer. And you're going to be using a lot of referrals, which referrals, we'll go into that in a second, should be a huge part of your business no matter where you're a trainer. Referral, but we'll go over that in a second. So again, that's going to be one of the pros and cons to a private one-on-one trainer. Now, you could become an online trainer, which seems to be the new trend now. And the new trend seems to be if you compete in a show and you don't even finish your prep, that you can actually be a coach. Like that seems to be the new thing. If you have abs, you're accepting clients now. It's so funny when I see those things on Instagram. People, I'm now accepting online clients. It's just so funny. Everybody's a trainer. But anyway, you could become an online trainer. I mean, some of the famous ones out there, Lane Norton, Eric Helms, these guys have built huge, Eric Brozer, my former co-host on this podcast, they've built huge businesses training people online. The problem is the competition online is crazy. If you don't know how to use Facebook, Instagram, social media of any sorts to market yourself, again, that goes back to marketing yourself again, you're not going to have a lot of clients. It does take a lot longer to build up a clientele online versus in person. And trust me, because I've been trying to get a lot more clients online, and it's been a slow process, especially if you have no hook in online. I'm a writer for things have picked up for me a lot since the beginning as far as online training goes, so I shouldn't say that, but it just took a lot more time because I'm used to the one-on-one training or training at a gym where it's a lot quicker to get clients in. With online training, it takes a little bit to kind of get your name out there, but once you get your name out there, like with New York Muscle Radio Coaching, we got ourselves out there. We have our athletes who are competing on stage, almost every week now. And, once you start picking up a name for yourself, people start, talking about it. Again, this is going to go back to the referral thing that I'm going to talk about a little later. But, this is how you start to build up online. Online training is good. Again, a big pro to online training is you're not physically training the person, which is golden, because as a personal trainer, a private one-on-one trainer, or if you worked in a gym, your amount of money that you can make is going to be dependent on the amount of hours that you can work. If I have an 8-hour day of clients, I'm going to be seeing about 16 people in that time frame, give or take. Maybe some people do hours, some people do half-hour sessions. If one person cancels, I will lose money for that day. It's just kind of how it is. I'll explain how not to lose money about that in a second, but I'll lose money. So I have the potential to make, $500 in one day. I could start out the day trying to make $500 that day and then end up making only $50, but it's really going to depend. Again, because it's all sporadic. The thing with online training is it's a monthly program, pretty much, give or take how you set this up for yourself. It's going to be a monthly program, and you're going to be getting your money no matter what. If the person doesn't follow your plan, well, that's on them, but you don't want that because then they're not going to stay as a client. But, you're not going to have to worry about the normal, I can't make it in today, my kids are sick, or, I don't really feel well, I'm not going to train today. So you don't have that potential to lose money in that sense. So online training is good like that because you're not going to be worrying about if someone's going to cancel or anything like that. The other thing where it's really good too is it's remote. You don't have to be locked into a gym. You have no commute. That's a wonderful thing. You could pretty much be remote. I could take my laptop with me and go anywhere in the world and still be able to train people, which is phenomenal. It's great. Again, this is all going to depend on who your target market is. if your target market is stay-at-home moms, majority of the time stay-at-home moms don't hire online trainers. They like to get out of the house and they like to see a private one-on-one trainer. So you're going to have to give and take. Me personally, I like training people in person because I like to have human interaction. You know, when it's online, it's all through email. You know, maybe you Skype them every once in a while or speak to them on the phone. But I like seeing someone in one-on-one and watching those changes and watching your form. You know, again, this goes back to the education portion of this as well. If you want to become an online trainer, you have to make sure that you're well-versed in exercise science and how to program correctly and how to make sure you're able to explain things to a client that might not know how to do a certain exercise. Again, it's all going to go back to who you want to identify with, but if you're an online trainer and you have a complete beginner starting with you, if they don't know how to perform the bench press correctly or you think they're performing it correctly and they're really not, chances are the results are going to be subpar. So with online training, it can be a little tough, but again, those are some of the pros about it. And like I said, the cons are it's going to take a lot more time to get your name out there, and you're not going to be having that physical touch with a human. I always feel like for me, and this is why I think I like podcasting so much, I think I can get my point across much better via like speaking to someone versus an email. I'm getting better at the whole email interaction thing. I shouldn't say I'm bad at it, but I just feel like I get my point across much faster and much more clearer when I speak to someone. And that's why I like podcasting so much, because I could speak and get my point across much better. And the last way to determine your location, this kind of went on a little longer than I thought it was going to, but it's very important. Boot camps. You could be a trainer in boot camps, and one of the positive things with doing a boot camp is you get multiple people per hour. So during that hour, you could have anywhere between 10 and 15 people. If you're charging them a little less, let's say $30 or $40 for the hour, but you're seeing 10 people, that's $400 you've made in an hour. So that's one of the pros on that. The con with the boot camps are, if they're done outside, weather. And the other cons is, like I said, people canceling. You could have a full boot camp class scheduled and half of your class may show up. So you just cut your pay for that hour in half. All right, let's move on now because I was kind of ranting over there. But all right, step number 4, do your 6-figure math. Now, what I mean by 6-figure math. So let's just say, for example, you want to make $100,000 this year. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to divide that goal by 12 months, and you get $8,333 per month. So what that basically means is if you want to earn $100,000, and again, I'm not talking about taxes. I'm just doing easy numbers here. We're not going to factor taxes and this and that into this because this is a whole nother podcast, and I'm not that good at math to be able to rattle those numbers off my head. So anyway, $100,000 divided by 12 months, that's going to give you $8,000 per month, give or take. Now you're going to divide that by 4 weeks, because it's 4 weeks in a month. So that's $2,000 a week. Now I want you to divide that number by how many hours you're going to work per week. So if I say I'm a private one-on-one trainer and I want to work 30 hours a week, max, that's all I could do, 30 hours. I'll divide that number by 30 and I'll get $70 per hour. So pretty much I have to work $70 per hour for 30 hours in order to make $100,000 that week or that year. And you need to do this math because you need to be able to break down. You need to know how much you should be charging. And if you work for a gym, if you know, okay, I make, $20 an hour, well, now you know your math is going to look a lot different, and you're going to have to do other things in order to bring your income up, which I'm going to speak about later. So you need to do your 6-figure math in order to kind of put you on the path to accomplish that goal. So again, like I said, if I want to make $100,000, I break that up into per month, per week, and then per hour. Now again, you're always going to have varied. I have clients that pay $150 an hour, and I also have some clients that pay $65 an hour. Again, it's going to depend on my prices and packages and how many times I'm seeing them, where they're located, if I'm traveling to them, if I'm not traveling with them, if they're online, if they're not. So you're always going to have some leeway in this number, but you want a gist of how much of it. So I guess the average would be $70 per hour. All right, step number 5. You want to come up with a reoccurring business model. Now, this is extremely important. You need reoccurring money. As a trainer, especially a private trainer, you don't want people to be paying per session because, like I said, if someone cancels, if something comes up, you just sold yourself short and you're going to lose money. And that's one of the worst things of being a trainer. Your time is very important. If you have the potential to make $80 an hour and you have 4 clients booked during that hour and 1 client cancels, that client potentially took up a slot of your money. So you can't lose money with training. That's one of the most important things, is not losing money too. But you want to come up with a reoccurring business model so you don't have to worry about if after your clients' quote-unquote sessions are done, if they're going to renew or not. So basically what I would recommend you doing is set up monthly plans, yearly plans. Get these people locked in. Even if you give them a little bit more of a discount, at least you know they're locked in and you have that money for a longer period of time. So let's just say, for argument's sake, I charge $150 an hour, if they come to me one time. If they come to me for a year, for X amount of times a week, maybe I'll drop that price down to $70. Yeah, that's a big cut in price, but I'm also guaranteeing that person's going to be seeing me for a year. And that's huge. That's a lot of money. And during that time, you guaranteed that money for a year for yourself. So if you have reoccurring money like this, you'll know how much money is coming in every month. And then going back to your 6-figure math question, if I have 5 people paying me $500 a month, that's $2,000. So that's $2,000 out of my $8,000 goal. Now I have to come up with the rest. Hey guys, it's your host, Anthony Bevilacqua, and I just wanted to announce that my brand new personal training facility is now open. I'm currently taking on new clients in the Long Island, New York area. If you're interested in working with the best personal trainer in the business, head on over to abfitnesstrainer.com and sign up for your free consultation. Then you can understand why bodybuilding.com has named me Personal Trainer of the Month. All right, step number 6. And this is probably the most important thing for when it comes to training. You want to get multiple streams of income. As a trainer, you're limited to the amount of times you could work in a day. I've said this 100 times already during this podcast, but if I get sick today and I have to cancel my clients for the rest of the evening, or if my daughter gets sick, if my wife gets sick, or if I want to hang out with my wife this evening, I don't get sick days, I don't have vacation time. So you need to get multiple streams of income. Again, multiple streams of income are also going to help you supplement that money that you need for your 6-figure math. So again, if my 6-figure math, we said it was $8,000 a month to reach $100,000. If I have other streams of income that make $500 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever it would be, I'm going to get to that number a lot quicker. So now some of the multiple streams of income you can have as a personal trainer. And again, this is going to depend on if you're a private trainer, if you work in a gym, or if you're an online trainer. You could sell supplements. Now, I was never against supplements. I shouldn't say that, but I was always, supplements aren't the major thing. But one thing that I always noticed was, even though I told my clients what supplements to get, they would go to GNC or whatever the local health food store would be, and they would pick up $500 in supplements. But then at the same time, the people are complaining that they can't, quote unquote, can't afford training. You can't afford training, but you're spending $500 on supplements. It doesn't really make any sense. So that was like a light bulb moment for me. Was why don't I just sell the supplements and just cut the other store out? They're gonna buy them anyway. I don't carry any supplements that I wouldn't use myself. I won't carry junk products. I'll carry only the stuff that I recommend. But if I'm recommending it, and I could get them a discount buying it, why not have them buy it through me? And let me tell you something. Some months I do really well selling supplements. And my $100,000 math, my 6-figure math, is always much easier to hit when I have that. Because I'll have someone that'll buy training, like I said, and then spend $300 on supplements. That's pretty good. It's pretty good extra money for not doing anything. I'm just basically giving them what I would recommend. Again, some of the stuff I sell: protein, creatine, branched chain amino acids, multivitamin, things that they're going to buy anyway. But this time now I know they're going to get it directly from me. The next thing that you could sell is a workout and nutritional plan. So you could sell, if you're seeing someone in person, this would kind of be tough for an online trainer since this is basically what they're doing. But if you're an in-person trainer, you could sell workout and nutritional plans as well. So let's just say you're seeing someone twice a week for an hour. You can sell them other workouts to do during that other time that you're not with them. You could sell them an additional meal plan. I always include these things in my training because I feel like it gives my training more value. So you have the option of selling it or not selling it. I always include it. But if you do sell it, you can make some extra money doing it. You could sell a workout routine for a month for $100 to someone who's going to use it, and the person's benefiting from it, and so are you. And again, that also cuts your 6-figure math down. So if you could sell workout and nutritional programs and make an extra $400 or $500 from that, everything adds up. So never discredit anything. So if I sold, $1,000 on supplements and $500 from workout plans, that's $1,500 right there. In addition to my six-figure math. Plus, that's not even including when I'm doing training. The next thing you could do is you could sell clothing or workout products. You could have your own clothing line. You could get a bunch of shirts made up, and you could sell them either if you're doing it privately right out of the studio like I do, or you could sell them online. If you're an online trainer, you can have a link to have. There's so many different services out there for drop shipping shirts. You just upload your image to it, and you drop ship the shirt. So that's another option for you as well. It's another form of income. Workout products, you could sell gloves. If you're an in-person trainer and you're training females, they like gloves. You could buy gloves and resell them right in your studio. You could sell gloves. You could sell straps. You could sell, I don't know if I should give this. This is my secret. It's not that hard for me to give you guys the wrong advice. I make my own jokes, but I have no one to laugh at in this one with me. It's terrible. Anyway, you could sell workout products. My secret one that I like to sell to people is a food scale. You can pick up a food scale for really, really cheap online, and you could sell it for your clients for double the amount of money that you paid for it. Now, it's not a bad thing to do that because it's called running a business. So don't feel guilty about doing that. I like my clients. Every person that comes to me, I form a good relationship with, and we'll go over all that later. And they ultimately become my friends. I've had my clients at my wedding, my daughter's communion, Jesus Christ, I'm aging myself now, really. My daughter's baptism, so I've had my clients become my friends. So it's almost like you feel like you're ripping your friends off a little bit, but this is what happens when you run a business, and you have to separate business from friendship. So selling a food scale, you could pick up a food scale, like I said, for really, really cheap and double the amount of price you're selling, and you could sell it for double. And that's, again, another way. Cutting down that six-figure math. That's the most important thing, that six-figure math. Everything is going to go back to that. If you want to make $100,000, you need $8,000 per month. Again, going back to my example, $1,000 in supplements are sold this month, $500 in workout plans and nutritional programs, and let's just say I sold another $500 between workout programs, products, and clothing. That's already $2,000, right? Yeah, that's $2,000. I told you I'm bad at math. That's $2,000 to my $8,000 I need to that month, not including my training. That I just cut down a whole week of training pretty much. Again, these multiple streams of income also help you, give you some type of a buffer for when people cancel. Like I said, it's going to be the major thing. Now, if you're in a gym, if you're a trainer of a gym, I would find out from your manager if you're able to solicit other products and things to the client, because if you're working in a gym right now, the gym might not like that. If you're making money without them getting a cut. What you can do is if your personal training studio, whatever gym doesn't have these things implemented, you could go to your fitness director, your manager, whatever, the gym owner, and tell them that you want to set up a program to start to sell supplements, start to sell workout and nutrition programs, start to sell clothing or workout products, and then work out a deal with the owner. If you have a cool owner and a cool like gym owner and personal trainer, like the manager, whatever, they might be really excited and let you, get a higher percentage of it. But remember, when you're not private, you're always going to be splitting this stuff. So just keep that in mind. All right, step number 7. I want you to have detailed cancellation policies. So again, I'm really talking about private training and online training here. If you're working in a gym, this is going to be all set by the gym. Because the gym's going to have everything hooked up for you as far as cancellation policies and stuff like that, if the department is set up well. But you don't want to set up yourself for failure. So I implement with all my clients a 24-hour cancellation policy because, like I said, my time is money, and if I'm not working, I'm not making money. So if a client takes up a time slot and they pay $80 for that time slot and they cancel, I could have put someone else in that time slot who would have paid, and I would have earned the money for it. So you have to let people know of these cancellation policies right off the bat. I also have a cancellation policy for a contract. They're not allowed to cancel their contract after 3 days, their personal training contract. And I have a 24-hour cancellation policy. So if they have to cancel, they have to let me know. Again, if you like your client and you could be lenient and it doesn't happen all the time, because listen, let's just face it, stuff happens all the time. Things come up and and for whatever reason they can't make it, life always happens, and you want to give them a little leeway the first or second time, it's okay, but you don't want someone who's going to be making a habit of it, who's taking up a time slot for someone else. So don't set yourself up for failure with that. Have all these forms ready to go, and make sure you tell all the clients, everything. Make sure you let them know that right off the bat as soon as they sign the contract. All right, step number 8. You want to provide outstanding service. Now, this is extremely important because you want to be set apart from all the other trainers that there are. You want to go above and beyond for your clients. You want your clients to become your friends. You want them to understand that you care about their results as much as you do. I'm convinced that one of the things that made me so successful as a trainer, both online and in person, is my ability to express to people how much I care for them. Because let's be honest, I mean, I could have went into anything. I could have become a doctor. I could have become a vet. I chose fitness because I like seeing people better themselves. One of the reasons why I never became a doctor or a physical therapist was because I hated seeing people in pain all the time. It was always something that, when people get surgeries and they're recovering from it, I mean, yes, you're doing a good thing by helping them, but for me, I just hate seeing people in agonizing pain like that. And it was just never for me. For me, fitness was always the key because I like seeing people better themselves. I like seeing when people lose 50 pounds, and they do things that they can't think they were able to do anymore. They step on stage leaner and bigger than what they were last time. That for me is extremely important, and I get so much joy out of that. It reminds me of why I do this. And when you provide a good service to people and they appreciate it, you'll know, and you'll get the emails and the calls and the texts. Oh, thanks for everything. Thanks for the way you push me. Your clients will post up things on Instagram about you, about how you push them. And that's such a rewarding feeling. So when you're providing that type of service to someone, you're building basically a friend for life. And that's your goal. You should be able to talk to these people about, personal things too. You become their friend. You want to know, especially if you're an in-person trainer. You're going to be seeing these people, for months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. You want to become their friend. You want to know, what makes them tick, especially, if they're a mom, you want to know how many kids they have. You want to know all these things because it's extremely important. You want to build that rapport with the person. If you're an online trainer, you could have a support group online. You could, make a group online and have all your clients in the group, and you could start discussions. And, if anybody has any questions and so some type of support, go out of your way for your clients. Go above and beyond. Send them postcards for their birthdays and holidays. Let them know that you're always thinking about them. And remember, just because, let's just say a client finishes with you, whether they're online, in person, whatever. If they finish with you, so let's say they did 3 months only. If they finish with you, that doesn't necessarily mean they're done with you. They're never going to come back to you. If they ever decide to use training again, who do you think they're going to go to? They're not going to find a new trainer. They say, oh, that guy Anthony, he was great. I remember that one time when he did this, and this. Be outstanding. Go above and beyond for these people because, and remember, also, people talk. If you're a shitty trainer, people are going to know because then someone's going to go back and say, oh, I worked with this guy, he sucked. But if you're a good trainer, whether online, in person, whatever, and you're good, you're always going to manage to tell people because, one, your clients are going to have better results than normal. So other people are going to notice your clients' results, and they're going to ask your clients, what are you doing? And boom. Yeah, I'm working with this guy, Anthony. He's part of New York Muscle Radio. He helped me get ready for my contest, and boom, I look great, and I won my class. So again, you always want to go above and beyond for your clients and treat them as gold because they are. I'll never forget, and if you work in a gym too, this is the most important thing. If you work in a gym and you're a trainer, I'm going to tell you this story, and this is a story I told all my trainers, but it's the most important thing. It's the truest story ever. Just because someone does not buy, let's say you sit down with someone, if you work in a gym, you usually get quote-unquote free assessments, which basically are free appointments from the gym, and your goal is to sell them personal training. So if you get a free session or if you're talking to someone online, if you're an online trainer, you're trying to pitch someone your services, always be sincere in what you tell them. Genuinely try to help the person because if you genuinely try to help the person, they're going to remember that. When I was an in-person trainer and I was working in a gym, I'll never forget one time I had an assessment with a woman. She came in, and I knew you always kind of get the idea of who's going to buy and who's not going to buy as a personal trainer. But so I knew this lady wasn't going to buy, and she came in. I was talking to her, whatever. And, she started telling me a little bit of her story, and I genuinely cared for the woman and her results. So I took usually the fitness assessment is supposed to be in about an hour long. I spent an hour and a half with this woman because I just really wanted to help her. And I knew that she wasn't going to buy, so I knew this was going to be it for her, And you got to remember, too, as a trainer, whether online, in person, whatever, you're going to be that, you could literally save someone's life. Like, you don't know how important you are to someone. Sometimes as a trainer, you always go, I'm just a trainer. But in reality, you really do change people's lives. But anyway, so I knew I had the ability to really help this woman. So like I said, I spent an hour and a half with her. I really was detailed in what I explained to her. I gave to her, spoke to her about nutrition and whatnot. And, we left. I didn't even pitch to her prices because I knew that she wasn't going to buy, like I said. And I got from her, she became one of my best referrals. She sent me everybody she spoke to after that. I must have gotten 5 paid clients from her just because I provided outstanding service to her. She went and became a walking billboard for me. She told everybody in the gym about me. And you never know who you speak to. This is why I tell my trainers, even if the fitness assessment doesn't buy, never discredit who people know, because as soon as they leave you, they go in the locker room and they talk about you. They'll talk about you to whoever's in the locker room, or they'll talk about you to their friends at home, or their spouse or whatever. And you never know who's going to be interested in a trainer. If you just rush the fitness assessment, or if someone's interested in training online and you kind of rush the introductory email, they're going to get that feeling and that vibe from you, and they're not going to be willing to buy. And they're going to say, oh, this person doesn't want to be bothered. So again, you always want to go above and beyond for your clients because, again, like I said, they're going to be golden to you. I've built up relationships with clients over the years. I've had in-person clients who I've been training for 5 years, 6 years, multiple times a week consistently. People find a way to train with you, financially, even if they don't have to be millionaires to have a trainer. I know people who, got rid of their car payment in order to keep training with me, and it happens. When you're a good trainer and you provide an excellent service, people find a way because they understand the value in it. So you always got to make sure you're doing that. All right, step number 9, you want to make sure you have an awesome referral policy. One of the things I've always implemented with training, whether online or in person, referral policy, because referral policy is going to be something that's going to be good. You always want referral business. One, referral business is always easier to maintain. It's almost a guaranteed sale every single time, because a referral is much stronger than a cold lead. So what that basically means is if I just found you off the street and I started talking to you, more than likely you're going to be a little weary of me because you're like, oh, who's this guy? He's talking about nutrition. He has big biceps. That's me now, not Big Pete. That's me. Who is this guy? He's talking to me about this, and it's this much. Oh, I don't know who he is. Why should I trust him? A referral, on the other hand, it's like if your mom was training with me and she said, oh, I'm training with this trainer, Anthony. He's awesome. You have to go talk to him. You're going to be less wary if you came and spoke to me. And you're going to take your mom's word for it because she's a trusted person to you. So having an awesome referral policy will just reward your clients for sending you clients. So you want that. So, and this could be in the form of anything. I've given Cracking the Flexible Dieting Code out, that ebook and the audiobook out to people as a referral. If someone wasn't my client, that's usually what I do. If they're one of my clients, I usually give them a couple free sessions or a free session. If they're an online client, I'll give them an extra couple of weeks, because it's important. You want to reward that, because the more clients that your clients bring to you, the more people you're going to be able to influence. So have an awesome referral policy. Don't be afraid to give away sessions all the time. Do not be afraid of it, because it will instill people to keep sending you people. I had a client once, funny story, I don't want to rant too much, but I had a client once who, he literally sent me all his friends. Every single person he knew, he was sending them to me, and they were buying. And he was able to get out of it about a month and a half of free sessions. So, go figure. For him, it was worth it. He was getting what he wanted out of it, and he was saving money because he was going to do the training regardless. And I was building up a business at the same time. So it's a hand-in-hand thing. So you shouldn't be afraid to give away free sessions in that sense. All right, step number 10. I want you to build a team. So remember, the major problem with personal training is you're limited by the amount of hours that you can actually work. If you're sick one day, you might lose. If you don't have the reoccurring model set up yet, you're going to be losing money. If you worked as a trainer inside a gym and you were sick, you're not going to have sick days. So that's going to be out. You're going to lose money there. So the goal is, as a trainer, is to never lose money, because, again, that takes away from our 6-figure formula. that was all the way in the beginning of this podcast. The six-figure formula is very important. So every time we lose money, we take a step back on that six-figure formula. So like I said, how do we do this? We build up a team. You want to have what I do, I have usually a backup trainer that I have that I kind of outsource to train my clients if something was to come up. So let's just say, and I've done this with Pete before, since Pete was one of my trainers who used to work for me. I went on vacation a couple times. I had Pete train my clients, and I gave him a commission based off that. So Pete didn't make what I made during that time, but he made something, which was more than what he was getting paid at the gym for training my clients. So you want to have like a backup trainer to be able to outsource some of your clients to. So let's just say, for argument's sake, right now, I'm working, I have a full day. I don't want to work in the afternoons anymore. I say, Anthony, I know I'm done working as a trainer at night. I don't want to work at night anymore. Maybe I want to work at night only 2 days a week, whatever it would be. You want to be able to have a trainer that I could call and I can outsource those clients to and still make money. Granted, I won't make the same amount of money, but let's just say I'm getting $100 an hour. I pay this trainer, $40 the hour to do. I'm still making $60. So you want to be able to have kind of a team, a go-to team. Now, again, if you're building your business around you, it's going to be kind of hard to pawn your clients off on someone else, and I don't recommend that all the time. But it's just a good way to have a backup plan and to have a good team behind you. Because if you get sick, one, your clients are still going to want to train. It doesn't matter if it's with you or not. They're addicted to the results. So they're going to want to train anyway. So if you hire another trainer to come and take that time for you, you'll still make money. And that's the main thing, is you don't want to take any steps back on your six-figure formula. Now, if you're an online trainer, you have a little bit more leeway with this too. But you want to build a team also. You maybe have another trainer under you to help you with your inquiries online or program development, and things like that. Because if you're building up a good online business, you're going to have a lot of clients online, and you want to be able to give each person full-on attention. So if you have another trainer help you with development of the programs, and things like that, it just makes it much easier for you, and you're able to focus on interacting with the person, which is the most important thing when it comes to online. Step number 11, and this is the last step of this podcast. Look, I made it through by myself, man. 51 minutes, all me. Look at that. So step number 11 is have patience. Again, personal training is a really, really rewarding business, but if you don't have patience, you're not going to get anywhere. Having patience is extremely important, because even though we've done everything right, the six-figure formula, you have multiple sources of income, you're getting leads in the door, you're selling people, you're selling the training, you're going to have days where it gets a little frustrated, and there's going to be some setbacks. You're going to have some months where you make 10 grand, you're going to have some months where you make 4 grand. You're just going to kind of have to give and take where you are, and just have patience. But know that if you instill all these steps that I told you, you're going to build a strong six-figure plus business and be able to grow and expand yourself. Again, this is just basics. I could get into a whole nother podcast on how to make 6 figures plus, as a trainer. So just have patience and build up. And, who's to say that if you were to have a private studio and you started doing training on your own, you hire other trainers to work for you, you can make that income as well. And that cuts down your six-figure formula math again as well. Now you're looking at, if you have a facility, a private studio like I have, and I have 2 or 3 trainers working for you, I'm no longer doing 6-figure math. I'm doing 7-figure formula. I'm doing a 7-figure formula because I can make that much of more income. All right, guys. Well, that was today's podcast. And I think our guest today, Anthony Bevilacqua, did a fine job. I think he's been in this industry for a long time and really knows his stuff. And he's a really successful trainer, and this is why he makes well over 6 figures a year. So, again, take my advice. Trust me, I wouldn't steer you wrong. Care for your clients as much as you can, whether online or in person. Never, never, never say that one client is not as important as another, because everybody's important. And that is how you will build a strong business as a trainer. All right, guys. This is Anthony Bevilacqua, New York Muscle Radio, how to make 6 figures as a trainer, and I'm out.
Enjoyed this episode of New York Muscle Radio? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave us a 5-star review, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, New York Muscle Radio.